So, hey guys, Chauzu here, and it's time for the final deep dive of the Super Sugo Legends. In a few hours after this video is posted, we should be getting the full Sugo information. So I will make another video about that tomorrow. But for now, we're going to look at the final new versus legend we talked about versus Yamato earlier. Now we're going to talk about versus Kaido, who might be the most hyped legend for this new year. But is that hype justified? Is he as good as he sounds like? That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Kaido's kit, how viable he is. We will look at potential partners for him and look at him in PvP. So let's jump into it. And yeah, Kaido is an int striker driven unit who has a final tap. So first we look at the captain. Kaido boosts striker and driven characters HP by 1.5 times. Boosts their attack by approximately 5.5 times when slots match. 5.25 times otherwise. Makes in tandem slots have matching slot effects. Turns recover slots into Wano. Reduces special reverse, special bind duration by 10 turns on the own character. And if crew uses a special to boost attack, slot effects, or type effects of normal attacks, adds plus 0.25 to the boost. Stackable with other further raising effects. I want to note a few things here. First, it's a bit disappointing that Kaido is 5.5 times attack, when versus Yamato is 5.75 times attack. I think Kaido should have been 5.75 times as well. Basically, it feels like they've moved that 0.25 to the buff in the bottom, which basically means that that buff isn't as cool as it should be, because it basically just makes it so it's the same 5.75 times. Well, it's not that simplified because you can buff a lot of buffs like that, so it's basically better. But I think it should have been a bit higher, but that's my personal opinion. It might be that the additional effect really makes it worth anyway, but yeah. Anyway, it's very cool that it turns recovery into Wano as well. I'm a bit sad, but this goes for all Anno Legends, that basically none of them have C reduction, so they're not really optimal to use for stuff like Arena that I like, and makes them less useful in stuff like Treasure Map as well. It's very powerful that he resists special reverse and special bind, especially when he also reduces CD. The problem, of course, is that once you have committed to using his special, if you want to use another special to remove special bind from the crew, basically you use up one of the specials you can use after that. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves here. Let's look at the special. First, he removes all beneficial effects placed on the crew. And after you use this special, you can only use 2 more specials. And this is for the whole quest. Like if you use Kaido stage 1 of a Garp challenge, just for fun, for the rest of the entire Garp challenge, you can only use 2 more specials. The rest are unusable. And I know many are upset by this. Many are probably unaware because it's worded very badly here. But it's correctly worded on JP. And on the JP Twitter video we got today, on the JP side, we could clearly see that you get a debuff applied to the crew when you use Kaido's special. We don't know if this debuff can be removed with like Shirahoshi and Manchury. Personally, I hope it can't be, because this is too overpowered to be removable, in my opinion. But yeah. And then it says that if you stack a similar effect, basically if you use this special again, you can't use any more after. And this basically means that double Kaido is like the worst captain pair that is. The positive is that with double Kaido, you get the extra plus 0.25 times added. But I still don't really think it's worth it. But if you ever have like a content and it's like, yeah, I'm doing a striker and driven team, and I literally only have 5 units, what more do I do? Well, you can just put Kaido as a captain and you get extra buffs for free, basically. Anyway, He also reduces crew's CD by 20 turns, changes left column slots, including block to tandem, and right column slots, including block to 1-0. He also boosts striker and driven character slot effects by 3.25 times for 2 turns, and their attack by 3 times for 2 turns. So if you add the buffs from the captain ability, it basically turns into a 3.5 times aura boost and 3.25 times attack boost. So yeah, that's absolutely good. First, let's talk a bit about minus 20 CD, because that's pretty big to how this Kaido is intended to be used. Basically, the idea is that you build a team with Kaido and 5 other units, and before final stage, you go ham. You just use everything, like stuff you'd say for final stage otherwise. You use stage 4, stage 3, and then you get to stage 5. You finally use the Kaido. Now you can only use 2 more specials, but all the special you used before then, you can use them again. So that's a pretty cool gimmick for sure. And I say that Kaido is best in like normal content, especially if we were to get harder like arenas and such. This might also be very cool in Grand Voyage, but yeah, the only one we can do right now is the Grand Voyage Luffy, which is one of the easier, but yeah. As for the viability of this, that's what many people are wondering, I'm sure. Like, how viable is this? And I think many people think of Super Boss Kizuna in particular. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't think this will be particularly viable in a Super Boss Kizuna. Sure, you start off great with 3.5 times attack, 3.2 or boost, 3.25 times attack. But after that, you can't add much else. We are going to look at some partners, though, that can be useful, but it's rough. I'll say that much. But otherwise, I think they basically nailed this. It's a very cool gimmick that you can just use specials willy-nilly. And then at final stage, you get them all back, basically, when you use Kaido special, with a big disadvantage. And that big disadvantage, it makes Kaido like such a big pro and very big con. And I say for Super Boss in particular, the con is too big to make him great. I'm sure you can make some good teams with him, but I don't imagine many of the best teams will use this Kaido. Kaido also has a versus effect. And the good thing with the versus effect for him is that these aren't part of his special counts. You can use this even if you can't use normal specials anymore. So you do a lot of damage, you do end of turn damage, and you also apply 1.5 times increased damage taken to all enemies. That's very good, of course. Pretty much like Law's special, the old anniversary Law. But it's part of a versus special as well, so much easier to use. And yeah, this does make Kaido a lot more interesting in stuff like Super Boss Kizuna, at least. Kaido also has a final tap, and sadly it's super disappointing. Basically, you get an extra 2,250 attacks for 1 turn. Then you hit with this character. And that's it. And we talked about this before. Base attack boosts are not bad, but they are being way too much spammed for how much extra damage they give. So, yeah. This won't add as much damage as it sounds it will. And there's a lot better final taps. But if we do move towards a future where final taps are a bonus more than required, like you don't have to use Luffy Crew for anything, this might be a very good bonus, at least if you face a Psy boss. Crewmates, he resists special reverse, and Dex in tandem or matching if Captain is striker. Always nice with matching orbs, of course. So yeah, let's take a look at some potential partners for Kaido. And there's going to be some niche ones and some good ones. I feel like I'm talking about Legend Hina with every new legend. This really makes me feel like Hina has some unexplored potential now. And yeah, let's talk about Hina while we're talking about it anyway. So we talked about Kaido, the fact that you can't use any specials to do more damage. But like with Kaido with its versus special, you can use super type specials. And you can still use specials after that. And Hina's super type special gives a 2x delay conditional. And her captain ability lets you delay through full immunity without using a special. So the way I see this working is you have Hina as captain, Kaido, friend captain or crew, whatever. Final stage, you do enough damage with Hina to get the delay conditional, or the delay, not the conditional, just the delay. The turn after, you proc Kaido special, you use Hina super type, and it's not like Kaido can remove delay from the enemy. So now you got that delay conditional, and you got Kaido's buffs, and you can still use 2 specials. And one unit who pairs super well with Hina is obviously the new legend Robin, Super Sugo Robin, who is one of the best units in Super Boss Kizuna. And you can use Robin's special now. You have Hina's delay conditional, you have Robin's conditional together with Kaido's big buffs, and you can still use one more special. And if the boss, for example, is strength, you could potentially use the Nami, because with the Nami you can get a color affinity. Well, I guess she does a conditional as well, so Nami is not the best, I guess. Maybe something like Croc is better in this example, because then you can use Croc. You can get that 3x chain boundary if your HP is low enough. And the support also gives color affinity or chain boost. So basically we got all big buffs now except for some type of color affinity that might be solvable with another unit or something. And we also have the Black Maria free-to-play coming soon, which will give color affinity when Kaido uses a special. So that's something to look out for as well. So that's just a bit of an example of how we can think. Croc is good because of what I said, like you can get a chain boundary and a chain boost from support. So with Kaido partners, especially if we're talking like Super Boss or something, you really want to have multiple effects in one unit, like Nami, for example. She can do color affinity, it's not the highest, but it's a color affinity, and she can do death down conditional, so that's a lot of damage added. She can also run a chain boosting support like Sanji. Treasure Map Kanjuro, he can also do a death up conditional, and he can do color affinity. Only for strength, but like it depends on what the boss is in Super Boss, for example. We also have something like Ultim page 1, where you can use the swap to get that chain boundary. Well, the super swap preferably. And then you can use the special to get that tasty conditional boost. So yeah, just some ideas. Like optimal with Kaido, like he will get better as we get better super type, super class, versus specials, swaps and such. But at the same time, like high multipliers age like milk, I guess. So even if Kaido has some potential usage, has some potential to get better, I think he will get burst pretty fast because we get better damage potential. Like I think at the end of the day, Kaido will mostly be a fun meme to use against content. He might be optimal for some future Grand Voyage and such, but I doubt he will be the king against Super Boss that many hope. That spot is reserved to Robin mainly. But maybe they can team up against Super Boss sometime. To end this, let's take a look at PvP stuff. Kaido's Rumble ability. HP up level 6, attack up level 6 to int. And he revives himself up to 1 time at 50% HP. So he can revive, he gives good HP and good attack. If he had a death up of some sort, he will basically be perfect. Special. Targets enemies within large range for attack times 4 damage. Large range sounds good, but then it's horizontal, so it's not as large as it sounds. After 50 seconds of battle, targets enemies within large range horizontal for HP 50% reduction. So in my initial video, I was quite hyped by this, but I think that hype has mellowed a bit, mostly because Int and Driven has so many great units, and Kaido has very high CT. He doesn't have the highest reliability. You do lose out on some defense by running Kaido. So the main reason to run Kaido will be if you face something bulkier, when you're afraid that it might go to a timeout. I think Kaido will help there, but even then, you have some RNG with his special. You can really miss a lot with it. It's just how it is. But yeah, always nice to get more option, and it's definitely the best for PvP together with Yamato. Kaido has GP stats as well. Int, Dex, and Riven gets buffs. You have 3 teams you can easily make here. And he gives some decent buffs as well. Int is just HP and some mech buffs. But the others get decent ones at least. And like Int teams get most of the Driven buffs as well, since Int team is mostly Driven. The burst though, you need to deal damage 32 times. This is another one of those, like, you try and imagine how reliable is it to proc. And my guess is that it's more reliable than it sounds like, since you do keep hitting all the time. So it sounds like you will be able to get this done early second battle, but getting it twice, that's more questionable. Is it worth it though? Targets all enemies for death down level 10. When remaining time is less than 50 seconds, targets side-type enemies ignoring death for leader base attack 2.5 times damage. Wow. It's a shame it's side-type enemies, but ignoring death 2.5 times damage? Isn't that more damage than Kid does through death? That's basically every side-type enemy is killed, basically. That's insane. So yeah, he might be worth using just for this, since Sai is one of the best colors in Grand Party. Yeah, we're definitely trying him. We might even try Kaido against some higher difficulty. Whew, that's impressive, not going to lie. So we might be trying some Kaido then. Sounds like fun. But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.